everyone. Happy Chapter 4. We're starting Chapter 4 today of Addison Cook and the Treasure of the Inca. Chapter 4, A Sticky Wicket. Addison and Molly crested the hill, plowed their way through the thorn-encrusted briar bushes, and touched down onto a jogging path. Addison searched frantically for a fast escape. Where are the bike messengers when you need them? The shouts of police officers drew closer through the woods. Come on, Molly said. She and Addison tore along the jogging path, heading for the Central Park livery stables. The two raced past a tourist carriage and ducked into the stables. They crawled under a wooden fence to join a mare in her enclosure. The horse chomped hay and nickered at them cheerfully. Shh, said Addison. Policemen surrounded the stable, their voices crackling through walkie-talkies. They must be inside. Set up a perimeter. Cover the exits. Addison quietly opened the horse's paddock, seizing the horse's withers. He climbed up onto the mare's back. Addison, are we going to steal a horse? These are, how do you say, urgent circumstances, explained Addison, imitating Rhagar's accent. Can you even ride a horse? How hard can it be? I've read about it in books. Addison helped Molly clamber up behind him. Go, said Addison to the horse. Please, he added. The mare simply stood there, pleasantly chewing on her hay. Some things you can't learn in books, Addison. I will be sure to remember that, he replied. Outside in the corral, dozens of policemen could be heard marching into position, surrounding the stable. A policeman switched on a megaphone, which sparked with static. Come out! You're surrounded! Addison leaned close to the horse's ear. Step on it, please. The horse smacked its teeth with its great tongue and did nothing else. I think you're supposed to kick it, Molly offered. Oh, that's your solution to everything, said Addison. Molly decided to take matters into her own hands, or feet in this case, and she knocked her cleats into the horse's sides. It did the trick. The mare sprung into gear. With thundering of hooves, the horse burst from the stable. Molly and Addison held on for dear life. Surprised, policemen dove from the path of the galloping steed as it vaulted the paddock fence. Addison and Molly clung to the horse like a wet bathing suit. The mare bolted across the baseball diamond and onto the football field, picking up speed. Behind them, a squadron of uniformed officers gave chase. Overhead, a police helicopter caught them with their searchlight, and we have a helicopter going over right now, caught them with their searchlight, tracking them across the open field. Molly bounced along with the horse, hanging on to Addison. Why am I always in the back? Because you're younger. Do you even know how to steer this thing? You ask too many questions. The horse plunged directly into the dense foliage surrounding the football field. Soon they were enveloped in the dark forest. Tree limbs whipped past their faces. Addison ducked low over the horse's mane, and Molly's face was catching all the branches that missed Addison. The helicopter blades grew quieter as Addison and Molly fled deeper into the woods. Molly's voice shook with each powerful stride of the galloping horse. Why would they kidnap Uncle Nigel? Professor, Ragnar needs his help to track down the treasure. Uncle Nigel is famous among archaeologists. He is the number 2 Incan expert in the world. Who's the number 1 Incan expert? Molly asked. Addison's face slowly turned white. Aunt Delia! Addison reined the horse. She must be in danger too. We need to get back home. He tugged the mare's reins, aiming the horse for West 86th Street. Addison and Molly cantered north on Amsterdam and hooked a right onto 86th Street, police helicopters circling in the distance, combing the neighborhood with searchlights. Addison dismounted, parallel parking the horse in an empty spot in front of a local deli. "You can't park there, it's a handicap spot," said Molly. "Molly, they're not going to ticket a horse," said Addison. As police sirens swept the surrounding streets, Molly and Addison hurried inside their apartment building. They bolted up the endless sets of stairs and reached the 5th floor landing, out of breath. They rushed down the hall and skidded to a halt. The apartment door was ajar. Addison lifted a finger to his lips, signaling for quiet. When he crept into the living room, his jaw fell open in shock. The sofa was overturned, and the coffee table lay broken on its side. A bookshelf was toppled over, and 10 years of National Geographic magazines lay scattered across the floor. Aunt Delia's drawings and paintings hung crookedly on the walls. Her well-worn copy of the complete works of Lady Florence Cray lay on the rug, torn into tatters. Addison and Molly searched the entire apartment. Every room was ransacked. "Aunt Delia's gone," said Addison, "but her purse and keys are still on the side table." "She's been kidnapped, like Uncle Nigel." "Well, she put up a better fight than he did," said Addison, considering the wreckage of the apartment. Then, noticing Molly's horrified expression, he added, "I'm sure she's fine. Ragar needs her cooperation to find the treasure." Addison and Molly righted the overturned sofa so they could sit down. "This is definitely a sticky wicket." "Addison, we just fled the police and illegally parked a stolen horse in a handicap zone. This is more than a sticky wicket." "Patience, sister. It is in these moments that the Addison cook brain is at its finest." Addison stood up and paced the floor. "Any moment now, the neurons will kick into gear like a well-oiled machine." Police sirens howled in the distance. Drawing closer, Molly stood up, assessing the situation. "Aunt Delia is kidnapped. Uncle Nigel is kidnapped. We just hijacked a horse." Molly spread her arms wide. "We weren't supposed to even be in the museum after hours. We broke expensive artifacts. Professor Ragnar tried to kidnap us. And now the entire New York City Police Department wants us arrested. We're fugitives." "And to think," Addison mused, "just a few hours ago, we were worried about being grounded." Molly flopped back down on the sofa. Addison clasped his hands behind his back and furrowed his brow. He knew that the solution to a problem often lay at the end of a well-paced floor. He took a few meditative laps around the overturned coffee table. "We need to find that second key," he said at last. "We need to help Aunt Delia and Uncle Nigel. That's what's important, Addison. Two steps ahead of you, sister. Professor Ragar needs their help solving the riddle and finding the second key. So if we get to the second key fast enough, that's where we'll find them." Molly weighed the truth of this. "We're just middle schoolers. We can just go to the police. We'll explain what happened at the museum. They're not going to throw middle schoolers in jail. We are just middle schoolers. Who would believe us? Molly, listen. Listen to all those sirens outside. There's a full manhunt for us. Besides, Rhaegar is practically best friends with the police commander. Addison shook his head. We can't show our faces. Rhaegar has 750 tons of treasure at stake. If he can kidnap us too, he will. Now, why would he want us? We're not Inca experts. Blackmail. Explain it like I'm a sixth grader, said Molly, who was a sixth grader. If Professor Rhaegar kidnaps us, he can get Aunt Dee and Uncle N to do whatever he wants. They'll be forced to cooperate and help him find the treasure. Molly nodded. The sirens are getting closer, she said. Addison sighed and shook his head. In retrospect, maybe I shouldn't have parked the horse directly in front of our building. Right, said Molly. Addison locked the front door. He crossed to the window and turned off the lights so he could peer into the night. Flashing sirens paraded up and down the street. The police could be here any minute. We need to slip out of here. Addison snagged a backpack and fresh clothes from the closet. He fished through his aunt's desk and found his passport. I'm going after the Incan treasure. That's the only way to find Aunt Dee and Uncle N. Are you serious? As a heart attack? Well, I'm going with you. Mo, you can go stay with Uncle Jasper. I don't need any help. I can do this myself. You can't even ride a horse by yourself. How are you going to flee the country, find a treasure, save Aunt Delia and Uncle Nigel? You're not even old enough to have a driver's license. I'll hire cabs. We're not allowed to. Well, these are urgent circumstances. All right, how are you going to hire a cab in South America? You don't speak Spanish. Addison looked up from his packing. There's something in what you say, Molly. He creased his brow and he thought and gave a deep sigh. Finally, Addison arrived at a decision. His face was resolute. Molly, it's time to assemble a team. That is the end of chapter 4. We got all the way through chapter 4 in one reading this time because it was a short one. I hope you guys have a fantastic day. Thank you for listening, and this has been a lot of fun. I love this book. Bye.